It was just an ordinary day when the old Jack-in-the-Box turned up on the doorstep of Millfield High. Janitor Joe found it propped against the front entrance that foggy Monday morning. He brought the antique toy to the main office, not giving it much thought. Principal Davis examined it curiously before placing it on the lost and found shelf, assuming some child would claim it before long. Little did they know the horrors that innocent-looking plaything would soon unleash. Alex Jenkins was the first to notice something strange about the Jack-in-the-Box. The shy sophomore kept to himself mostly, but he had a keen eye for detail. When he spotted the toy on the dusty lost and found shelf, he felt an immediate sense of unease. There was something not quite right about its garish clown face and how the crank seemed to turn on its own ever so slightly, as if beckoning him to wind it up. Against his better instincts, Alex picked up the Jack-in-the-Box and turned the crank. The eerie tinkling melody played, and as it reached a crescendo, the lid flew open, but instead of a humorous clown popping out, Alex felt an incredible force yank him off his feet. He only had time for a startled yelp before he was sucked inside the toy, the lid slamming shut behind him. Alex tumbled through a vortex of swirling colors before landing in heap at the bottom of a cavernous black space. It was dimly lit, but he could make out metal walls and ceiling far above. Groggily getting to his feet, he saw a giant spring in the center of the room, like one you'd find in a Jack-in-the-Box but grown to enormous size. He appeared to be trapped inside the toy itself. What happened? Where am I? Alex stammered in disbelief. How was any of this possible? He pinched himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming. The pain confirmed this nightmare was all too real. Fighting rising panic, he tried to think rationally about his predicament and how to escape it. If he got sucked in, surely there had to be a way out. As Alex examined his bizarre prison and tried to puzzle out an exit, another unfortunate student fell victim to the mysterious Jack-in-the-Box. Tina Ramirez, a senior, curiously picked up the toy from the lost and found, wondering who it belonged to. The moment she turned the crank, she too was yanked inside by an unseen force, the lid snapping closed in her wake. Tina plummeted into the strange space, crashing onto the springy floor next to a startled Alex. "Ow! What the heck? What is this place?" she exclaimed, rubbing her bruised arm. "I think we're inside the Jack-in-the-Box somehow," Alex said, helping Tina to her feet. "I got pulled in a few minutes ago. I've been trying to find a way out, but no luck so far." "Okay, this is trippy. How is this even possible?" "There must be a rational explanation," Tina said, looking around wide-eyed. "Let's put our heads together and find an escape route. There's got to be one." The two began methodically searching the chamber, running their hands along the walls for any sign of an exit. The space was larger than any toy could possibly be. In fact, it seemed to go on for hundreds of feet in either direction. After fruitlessly exploring for what felt like an hour, they stopped to rest, slumping against the metal wall. "What if there is no way out? Are we going to starve to death in here?" Alex asked bleakly. "Hey, none of that talk," Tina said bracingly. "We'll figure this out, and someone is bound to notice we're missing soon. People will come looking for us." But as the hours dragged by with no luck finding an escape route, their hope began to fade. How long until they were missed? Would anyone ever think to connect their disappearance to the strange Jack-in-the-Box? Little did they know that two other students, Chelsea and Stacy, friends of Tina's, were about to join their harrowing ordeal. The girls noticed Tina was missing when she didn't show up to their usual lunch spot. "I'm worried." "It's not like Tina to bail without texting," Chelsea said. "Yeah, this is weird. Let's look for her. Maybe she got held up talking to a teacher or something," Stacy replied. The two began searching the school. As they passed the lost and found, the Jack-in-the-Box caught Chelsea's eye. "Hey, check out this creepy clown toy. Looks like an antique." "Let me see." Stacy picked it up and examined it. Some kid must be missing this. Presently, she started turning the crank. When the music reached its peak, the girls shrieked as an invisible grip seized them and wrenched them off the ground. An instant later, they landed beside Alex and Tina inside the cavernous Jack-in-the-Box. "What just happened?" Chelsea cried, shaking with fright. "Where are we?" Tina quickly explained their predicament. We're trapped in this toy. Alex and I haven't found a way out yet. You've got to be kidding me. There's no way we're inside some dumb toy. This has to be a hidden room in the school basement or something, Stacy said. I thought that at first too, Alex said grimly. But look how huge this space is. And the spring in the center. We're definitely inside the Jack-in-the-Box. Somehow it's much bigger on the inside. Like a twisted TARDIS, muttered Stacy. The four prisoners sat in gloomy silence for a long moment, the reality of their bleak situation sinking in. They were helplessly trapped with no clue how to escape. And the evil force behind the Jack-in-the-Box was still at large, free to ensnare more victims. An indeterminate amount of time passed. It was impossible to track in the featureless black space, but it felt like at least a day had gone by. The trapped students slept fitfully against the hard metal walls. Hunger and thirst clawed at them, fueling their desperation to escape. We have to do something. We can't just sit here while that monster toy catches more people. Chelsea finally burst out. Like what? We've searched every inch of this place, Tina said defeatedly. If there was a way out, we would have found it by now. Maybe we're going about this wrong, Alex said slowly. What if the key isn't escaping, but stopping the Jack-in-the-Box from the inside somehow? How? Asking the evil clown nicely to pretty please not kidnap anyone else. Stacy asked sarcastically. I've been thinking, Alex said. There's obviously some kind of dark magic or force at work here. What if we could find a way to turn it against Jack? Use his own power as a weapon. The others perked up at this, the first spark of hope they'd felt in ages. That's an idea, Tina said. But how would we do that? I'm not sure, Alex admitted. But that big spring in the center, I think it's the heart of the Jack-in-the-Box's power. Maybe if one of us could connect with it somehow, we could influence what Jack does. Connect with it how? Asked Chelsea dubiously. It sounds crazy, but what if someone touched it and kind of merged their mind with it? If all this is magic, maybe the spring is the source and we could tap into it psychically. The others looked at him like he'd sprouted an extra head. Merge minds with the evil clown's power source? That sounds like a terrible idea, Stacy said. It does? But it may be our only shot, Alex said. I'll do it. I'm the one who suggested it. And better me than any of you. Ignoring the girls' alarmed protests, he marched up to the giant spring with a determined stride. He placed his hands on the rusted metal coils. Immediately, a jolt like an electric shock raced up his arms. He gasped and squeezed his eyes shut as a barrage of images flooded his brain. He saw through Jack's eyes as the sinister toy carried out his malevolent agenda. With dawning horror, Alex realized the clown's goal was to trap as many people as possible inside the infinite prison of the box. Each new captive strengthened him, allowing him to extend his reach further to snare more victims in a vicious cycle. Worst of all, Alex could sense Jack's next target, a boy named Chris who went to their school. The clown had been patiently waiting for the right moment to strike and seize him. If Alex didn't find a way to stop it, Chris would soon join them in eternal imprisonment within the Jack-in-the-Box. With a wrench of willpower, Alex tore himself free from the spring. He collapsed backwards, his head throbbing agonizingly. Tina and Chelsea caught him before he could hit the floor. Alex, are you okay? Say something, Tina cried. He blinked blearily, the disturbing visions still flickering behind his eyes. I saw what Jack is planning. He wants to take Chris Nolan next, and then more after that, as many as he can. We're running out of time. Fighting waves of pain, he forced himself to explain what he'd gleaned from the unsettling mental connection. I don't know how, but when I touched the spring, it's like I merged with Jack. I could read his thoughts, see what he sees. I think with practice, I could influence his actions. You want to mind control the evil toy clown? Stacy asked incredulously. Alex, you look like you're about to pass out. Messing with that thing isn't good for you. I'll be all right, Alex panted. It's our only way to stop Jack. I have to keep trying until I can overpower him. I won't let him trap anyone else in here. Over the next interminable hours, Alex returned to the spring again and again. Each time he placed his hands on it, agony pulsed through his head as he connected to the malevolent presence controlling the Jack-in-the-Box. He could feel its cold alien intelligence, could sense its cruel anticipation as it waited for the right moment to strike. Gritting his teeth against the anguish, Alex gathered his strength and focused every ounce of willpower on infiltrating Jack's consciousness. At first, his efforts were feeble, easily brushed aside by the clown's potent magic. But slowly, inch by hard-fought inch, Alex gained ground. He managed to muddle Jack's concentration, distracting him from stalking his prey. The girls watched anxiously as Alex labored, his forehead beaded with sweat, until finally he slumped back from the spring in exhaustion. "I did it," he said hoarsely. "I blocked him from going after Chris. But it's temporary. I've only delayed the inevitable. I have to be ready to stop him again." Over the next 2 days, Alex maintained his connection to the Jack-in-the-Box as much as he could bear, mustering his strength for a final confrontation. He could feel Jack's rage every time he interfered with his hunt, the clown's fury building to a boiling point. Alex knew a clash for control was imminent. It happened suddenly. A spike of malice shooting through the link alerted Alex that Jack was done playing games. He was determined to seize Chris now. "It's time," Alex yelled to the girls. "He's making his move. I have to stop him." Ignoring his friends' worried cries, Alex lunged for the spring, clamping his hands around it. His world dissolved into a red haze of pain, but he poured every shred of his will into the connection, grappling for dominance against the clown's sinister power. He could distantly hear the girls calling his name, but all his focus narrowed to the mental duel raging across the link. Jack was strong, so very strong, his magic fueled by the captives in his grasp. He pictured Chris obliviously going about his day, unaware of the evil reaching out to ensnare him, and Alex's determination hardened into a weapon. He battered at Jack's malevolent will, hammering it back inch by inch. He would not let this monster destroy any more lives. With a final surge of desperate strength, Alex wrenched control away from the clown. In that instant, he could see through Jack's eyes, could feel the searing frustration as his prey slipped out of reach. Seizing his chance, Alex raised the toy's felt hands and slammed the box closed on Jack himself. The impact sent Alex flying back from the spring. He crashed to the floor, his head a blaze of agony. Someone was screaming, maybe it was him. Everything went mercifully black. Alex drifted in and out of consciousness. Gentle hands cradled his head and trickled water over his cracked lips. Slowly, the pain ebbed and awareness trickled back. He cracked open salt-crusted eyes to see Tina, Chelsea, and Stacy huddled around him, their faces tight with worry. "Did it work?" he croaked. Relieved smiles broke out at the sound of his voice. "It worked," Chelsea confirmed. "You got that creepy clown to shut himself back in the box. You saved Chris. You saved everyone," Tina said, squeezing his shoulder. "You're a hero, Alex." He tried to shake his head, winced at the lance of pain the movement caused. "We're not safe yet. We have to make sure Jack can never trap anyone again." Helping hands raised him to his feet. He moved on wobbly knees towards the spring. Already, he could feel the poisonous link reforming as Jack struggled within the box. Weakened from the fight, it was all Alex could do to suppress the clown's efforts to escape. "I can hold him for now," he said grimly, "but I won't be able to keep control forever. We need to destroy his magic once and for all." "How?" Stacy asked. Alex eyed the massive spring, the heart of the Jack-in-the-Box's power. "We have to break the spring. It's the only way." Tina and Chelsea grabbed metal struts that had broken off the wall. Stacy found a shard of sharp material that had cracked from the floor. Together, the three began attacking the spring, hacking and battering at the ancient coils. Alex concentrated every iota of his will on subduing the force inside the box, gritting his teeth against its furious attempts to lash out. Jack would not yield easily, but the mental battle had taken its toll. With his strength fading, Alex knew it was only a matter of time before the clown broke free again. The minutes dragged by agonizingly. Alex's vision tunneled, narrowing to the Herculean task of simply holding on as his friends labored. His head felt seconds away from splitting open. Finally, blessedly, he heard an almighty crack reverberate through their prison. With a tortured metal shriek, the spring shattered, exploding into shards. The backlash threw Alex backwards like he'd been physically struck. He collapsed bonelessly, his skull a morass of fire. But as unconsciousness rushed up to claim him, he felt the toxic link to the Jack-in-the-Box sputter out like a flame doused by water. At long last, Jack's power was broken. The draining tie to the evil presence dissolved. When Alex next awoke, he was back in the real world, a circle of concerned faces hovering over him. He lay on the scuffed floor of the school hallway, Tina, Chelsea, and Stacy kneeling beside him. "We did it? We're out?" he asked weakly. "We're out," Tina confirmed, tears in her eyes. "You held Jack trapped in the box long enough for us to destroy the spring. Once we did that, it spit us out of that awful place." Alex tried to raise his head, caught a glimpse of the battered Jack-in-the-Box laying a few feet away. It looked ordinary now, the sinister air that had clung to it extinguished, just a broken toy. "What do we do now?" he asked. Stacy exchanged a resolved glance with the other girls. "Now we get rid of that thing once and for all so it can never hurt anyone again." Together, the four left the school, taking the remains of the Jack-in-the-Box with them. They hiked deep into the woods until they found an abandoned well. With immense satisfaction, they hurled the accursed toy down into the black depths. It vanished into the abyss with a final haunting rattle. Tina, Chelsea, and Stacy made Alex promise to go straight home to rest after his tremendous effort. Exhausted but content, he agreed, thanking them for saving not just him but countless future victims. The girls returned to school where they were met with a barrage of questions from teachers and classmates about their odd absence. Together, they stuck to the story they'd concocted, a weekend camping trip gone awry after they got lost in the woods. It explained their disheveled appearance and the time they'd been missing. No one questioned the flimsy lie, too relieved to see the teens back safe. Principal Davis scolded them for not informing the school about their outing, but praised their resourcefulness in finding their way home. If the girls exchanged secret wry smiles at that, no one noticed. Alex stayed home for 3 days, recovering from his mental battle with the Jack-in-the-Box. The ordeal had left him wrung out in both body and spirit, but with rest and time, his strength gradually returned. The disturbing visions and sensations from his link to the cursed toy thankfully faded like a bad dream. By the time he came back to school, he almost felt like his old self again. Almost. Walking through the bustling halls, Alex was struck by how surreal it felt to slip back into the mundane routine of classes and homework after the nightmarish struggle he'd faced. He caught Tina, Chelsea, and Stacy watching him from across the cafeteria at lunch, no doubt remembering their shared horrific experience. When his gaze met theirs, they raised their drinks in a subtle toast, acknowledging the profound bond that would always connect them now. From that day forward, an unspoken pact existed between the four survivors. They never again spoke of their imprisonment in the Jack-in-the-Box, but the memory of it hovered just beneath the surface, a secret knowledge that set them apart from their unsuspecting peers. Alex could never quite think of himself as a hero, regardless of what the girls said. But he did feel pride in the knowledge that his actions had saved untold innocent people from suffering a fate worse than death. That harrowing trial had forged an unbreakable strength in him, remaking him from the shy, withdrawn boy he'd been into someone who knew they could face down true evil and win. As the weeks turned into months, life slowly returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after brushing against supernatural malice. The strange disappearance of Alex, Tina, Chelsea, and Stacy became just another passing curiosity, one more odd occurrence to fuel the rumor mill for a little while before fading into old news. But for Alex, the legacy of the Jack-in-the-Box lingered, an invisible scar only he was aware of. Sometimes he would wake in the night, heart pounding, the echo of that eerie, tinkling tune dancing in his head before he shook off the last tendrils of the nightmare. He took to carrying an iron key in his pocket, a tangible reminder that he'd beaten the metal prison that tried to claim him and so many others. The key became a talisman of sorts, a charm warding off the darkness that had touched them all. When the memories threatened to rise up and overwhelm him again, Alex would reach into his pocket and close his fist around the cold metal, anchoring himself in the present. There would be other strange and inexplicable things in the years to come, other encounters with the uncanny and bizarre. One couldn't walk away from a brush with true magic unchanged after all. For better or worse, Alex, Tina, Chelsea and Stacy had been marked by their trial, gifted and burdened with the knowledge that the world contained more wonders and horrors than most would ever know. But no matter what otherworldly perils they might face in the future, they would meet them secure in the knowledge that together, they had stared down a nightmare made manifest and emerged stronger. That hard-won wisdom was the medal of valor they would always carry, their armor against the ghosts and specters that lurked in shadow, threatening to prey upon the unaware. The Jack-in-the-Box had chosen the wrong victims in the four steadfast friends. Let other evils beware, for those who had escaped the jaws of its trap feared no common monster. The mysteries and demons that yet lurked beyond the veil would find no easy quarry in the ones who had fought their way out of a hell of rusted springs and tarnished cogs held together by cruelty and greed. United by purpose and tempered by adversity, they stood ready to face what other unknown challenges the world might bring. For in the unending dance between light and darkness, they knew which side they stood on now. The scars they bore a testament to the bright courage that no eldritch force could ever truly extinguish. Come what may, they would always hold the line against the darkness. And in the end, no matter what hardships the battles might bring, they would prevail unvanquished.